I'm sorry. We had some technical difficulties and all that. And you know, when we start talking, it's ladies and
love this hat.
gentlemen, he is
Thank
a
you.
fashion designer, the curator of Vintage Strivals, and Rich Rocket Media is also an award-winning graphic designer and photographer. So
Thank you.
thank
Thank you guys for having me. I'm very excited to be here on the 19th of Pride Month, which is also Juneteenth.
you.
So to be Black, to be gay, and to be alive, I'm just grateful.
You are alive because you are serving like a new Beyonce outfit on her tour, which she does every
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So today is a special holiday for our people and culture. So before getting into all the things, Rich Rocket, I have to ask, what does Juneteenth mean to you?
Juneteenth to me is like just a time to express the blackness that's on all of us, and not just in us, like on us, what's visible to the world. Just live in that, you know. And if you're watching this and you're not black, well, I'm very sorry for you. Also, maybe cash app someone who is. You know what I mean? That's what it is.
Here at the Pink Clubhouse, we love to get to know our people. I mean, there has been many guests that have been on, and you are continuing this legacy. Who are you, and what's behind your artistry?
Okay. I love how big that question is. Who are you? Because honestly, maybe until 5 years ago, I really didn't know. You know what I mean? And it's a continual journey, but I think Rich Rocket is, if I could just put me into a term, if I could define myself, I would say I'm creativity defined. I'm an outward expression of just self-realization and, expression.
I love that.
So when you see me, you'll always see what's inside of me.
That's what she said. But I'm sorry, I didn't even hold back. I'm sorry.
I mean, also work. You know what I mean? Like, it just works.
Let me ask you before I ask you another question. Because I'm just looking at you, and you know, we all have these experiences that we have as LGBTQI people, and how we're still flourishing. Some of us flourished early, some of us later. Like you were saying, only 5 years ago. I feel like I'm one of those people who's now flourishing, to be honest with you. What was it like for you as a kid? You know, who were you as a kid? Were you doing this kind of things? Tell us.
Well, no. When I was a kid, there were semblances of what I'm doing now that resonated with the childhood me, but I was very different. As a child, initially, I'm a middle child, number one. So I have two brothers, one older, one younger. And initially, I just felt very outcast. You know, my older brother and younger brother, every season they played a sport. So they were always, you know, soccer, football, karate, whatever. And it would just be me at the dojo. Like, it smelled like feet in here. I want to go home. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that wasn't who I was. And as a kid, I was very into taking things apart and putting them back together again for some reason. Or not. Sometimes I didn't. Like my mother, one of her favorite stories to tell is my grandmother, who passed away when I was 4. She was never like a very, she didn't believe in like beating us and stuff like that. But she had these heels that were her favorite pair of shoes. Mm. And they were these like emerald green pumps, which ironically is my favorite color. And they had these big stones right on the toe. And one day after church, she came home and she, you know, put them in the corner where she always put them. And for some reason, this day, I decided to take that shoe and pluck the stones off individually. And it was like she could not be contained. She was like, and she beat me that day, but she had never beat any of us. But that was just like who I was as a kid. I wanted to see how things worked. I needed to be inside of it. Again, you can have that one. So as a kid, I was very different. I was also kind of introverted as a kid, believe it or not. Like I didn't really care to be around a lot of people. I didn't really care to like interact with large groups.
Same.
Now that's very different. Ironically, it's like my work is being around a lot of people and interacting with large groups. But yeah, as a kid, I was a different person. I don't know if like the blossoming of me came from a change in the childhood me. I think it was all a part of like the larger picture. You know what I mean?
The road travel. That's what I feel like. I always feel like the road.
Right.
Like I always think like I couldn't be me at that point in time. So I'm happy that the me is now because I have all that other stuff that I know about. You know what I mean? But how would you describe your fashion in the way you create it?
I would. Well, one thing I like to always make a distinction of is I think when people think fashion, they think very broad. Like fashion is all the things,
Mm-hmm.
and I specialize in style. For me, I want to always express a style or the idea of style versus fashion as this broad thing that a lot of people don't feel like they fit into. You know what I mean? A lot of people will automatically exclude themselves from conversations about fashion because they feel like it's so big. You know what I mean? Style to me is signature. It's something that literally will tell people what they need to know about you before they actually get to know you.
Mm.
So style is an expression of that. Style is when you walk into the room, what do you want to say? What do you want people to know?
Mm.
What's the story you want to tell? And that's what I believe in working through my creations is helping people tell those stories and helping people be seen in what they're wearing.
Mm. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You talk about signature pieces and fashion and style, and you have this signature hat on this evening that is just still in the show.
Right.
You look fabulous. What are some vintage pieces that you think that everyone should own? And shout out to the butterfly.
Right.
Right. Still in the show.
Something. He's got this hat on. Let me...
So you said, what are some things that like everyone should have, like staples?
Vintage pieces. Mm-hmm.
I'll say that I think that I believe that there are some things that work well with everyone, but I don't know that everyone should wear them. The one big thing you should have an understanding of is the silhouette that you want to express. I feel like if you find your shape, what you always want to present, and then you work that into every look, every time you get dressed, your example, and it starts with celebrating your body in whichever way you want to.
Mm.
So it starts with like, oh, I really love my clavicles. Like my clavs, this is one of my favorite parts of my body. So often you're gonna see that when I'm getting dressed, when I'm like putting together a look, I'm like, oh, but I want them to see this. You know what I mean? Or like, I really love my legs, so that's another thing that you're always gonna see. If I had to like name a staple that probably would work on everyone, I'll say two things. One is a trench coat. I love trench coats. I feel like there's not a body that a trench coat cannot go on that will not look good. I feel like trench coats work with your shape. They help to build out a shape when there might not be one. So I feel like trench coats are just, you know what I mean? They just work. Secondly, is a very well-fitted pair of denim, and specifically vintage or older denim because they made it with a different integrity than what we purchase now. So a lot of times a good pair of denim will also do something similar where if you need a little help building a shape, it could build out your shape. It can help celebrate parts of your body, things like that. So a good pair of denim and a trench coat.
Wait, so let me ask you, where do you, if, like, I get what you mean by that whole what we get now, you know, guys. Where could someone go and get, like, some old denim? Where can I get it? Where can I get it? That's
Okay. I exclusively shop at like thrift stores. If you see me at the mall, I'm there with a friend. I don't buy anything from like H&M. And there's nothing wrong with H&M. They make stuff that people need. But for me, it's about the thrill of the hunt. Now, like if I go into like a something where everything's like color coordinated and like size, I'm like, this is madness. You know what I mean? Like I need to be in there like on the floor under the racks looking for things. That's how I find my clothes. You know what I mean?
Love
So I
that.
would say every city has within 10 to 15 miles of where you live, there's a thrift store. Um, a Goodwill, Salvation Army, if that's all you have. But like you'll find a good, and I love a good, dirty, dusty, smells like death thrift store. Like those are where you really will find the gems.
Okay, I need to find, yeah. My Goodwill's a little smelly, so I need to get a little dirtier, I feel like. I
Mm.
need to, what do you put in the search for
Oh,
that?
well, actually, so you're in
Yeah.
Atlanta, right? There's a store. Every time I go to Atlanta, I make it a point to go to the
Mhm.
store. And when we get off here, I'm gonna see if I can find because I can see it in my mind. It's a
Vagabond?
warehouse. It's a warehouse that's like in a like industrial
Ooh.
complex, and it's a little bit. It's not like it's not far from Out of the Closet.
Okay.
So if you're at the Out of a Closet in Atlanta, which is near that big gigantic strip club, I think it's like King of Diamonds or
Well,
something.
I've been there.
Onyx?
You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so it's that big strip club, like literally maybe 5 miles down the road is Out of the Closet, and then 15 minutes driving away from there is this warehouse. And from the outside, you can't tell that it's a thrift store, but when you go
Oh
in,
my God.
it's literally
Well, I'm gonna
humongous.
text you.
And I always drop at least like 50, $60 and leave with like 3 or 4 bags of clothes.
Really?
Yes.
To find this out, you need, okay. 'Cause I'm already lost in Georgia because I'm new here anyway. So
Yeah.
Malloy, you're gonna have to do some work, okay? You
I
gotta
know
find.
what he's talking about because there's a good southern diner over there. Like,
Mm.
I can. Lloyd Jaeger
I'm
will
gonna
tell
I'm gonna
you.
find the address and I'm gonna send it to you
I
because I
use.
go every time, but I just can't think of the name
Yeah,
of it
I'm
right now.
sick of all. I don't even. I don't buy clothes anymore. Like what's in my closet is like because I don't know. All this stuff now is just whatever. But I do need that. Like I need it. So I need it like a drug. Um,
Mm.
let me find.
And the good thing about like old clothes is they had individual silhouettes. Designers made things very specifically, like in the late 70s, early 80s, they made things that really were meant to stand apart. Designers weren't interested in so much mass production as they
Yeah.
are now. Granted, we had a lot less people in the world back then as well, so it wasn't as big of a need as it is now. But like, and I am not personally someone who would pump like a Shein or something like that. But in the line of what I do, like this hat, I ordered from Shein, but then I painted
You
it.
did.
You know what I mean? Because Shein had this hat for like $7. You know what I mean? So you can't really beat that, and it's a unique silhouette. So I was like, I know I'm not gonna find this thrifting. You know what I mean?
Hey.
Right.
So if you find something that's like really cool and super low price, like go for that too.
Okay. Now let me ask you. Who are some vintage icons that inspire you? I mean.
Okay, so I have a list.
Oh.
And some of them are a little like what, but like bear with me, right? The first one is I love Theo Huxtable. Well, I love Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay.
You know, but Theo Huxtable, I loved his fashion sense and the way he presented on the show. And another one who he didn't have a great diversity of looks because it was a cartoon, but like just his stand apart in the greater scheme of the cartoon. I love Egon from the Real Ghostbusters. The way
Mm.
he used to have like the frames and the like victory roll in his hair. He was so like unique, you know what I mean? And it was just like him, you know?
I gotta look this up. Okay.
Uh, Another one is Robbie Sinclair from Dinosaurs. Do y'all remember the show Dinosaurs?
I think so.
With the baby, not the mama, used to
Oh,
hit the head.
yeah.
Yeah, the brother on that show, Robbie, used to always wear like a Letterman jacket and Converses.
Oh, yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was just like a cool, he's just cool, you know what I mean? So I appreciate characters who are just like have that sense of like a signature, like the jacket was the signature. You know what I mean? The varsity
Right.
jacket.
I love a good
Um,
varsity jacket.
yeah, they're another piece that they just work. You know what I mean?
Let's get into some comments. Rich EW Images says Rich is a genius. He has the ability to see your personality and bring to life into his designs. The guy is just great. Okay.
Thank you so much, Eric. First of all, Eric, if you're still watching, congratulations. He just had a baby. Well, he didn't have the baby, but his wife had the baby, but they just had a baby. So happy Father's Day to you. Eric is a extremely talented photographer. We made some amazing work together, especially in the earlier. One of my most favorite images that I've ever created was what I call the Dream Team. Me, him, and Shari Tiandra, who's a makeup artist here in Maryland, where we painted me as a cactus.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was like that was one of my favorite photo shoots I've ever done, and Eric was the shooter that day. Just yeah,
I want to
a
work with
moment.
you.
So,
I want to work with you like on some. I feel like we could do something like not to describe,
well,
but
I am planning to come to Atlanta for Labor Day
you
weekend.
said that.
I'm trying to, yeah, I want to build out some like pop-ups and stuff while I'm there, but also, have a little fun.
Okay.
But
And,
so
and Eric,
yeah, keep some days during that time open because that's what I'm
Eric,
planning to come.
you need to come too. Let's bring everybody together. I love working with creatives. Like it's just a beautiful thing, especially Black creatives. We think outside of the atmosphere. So, you
For
know.
sure. And the thing with Black creators, I feel like if we only had the resources that we deserve to have,
Yes.
Man.
next level, next level. Because we did that cactus photo shoot literally with no budget. Nobody got paid. Nobody made any money off the images. But like to me, they are magical. You know what I mean? Like I remember going to Shari and being like, yeah, she's like, she was like game, like, oh, what are we gonna do? Da da da. And I'm like, I want you to make me a cactus. And she was like,
There's some
okay.
like
But she got busy. She made these pricks out of like toothpicks and pot clay, and then she painted me, and then put the pricks all up. Like it was magic. It was just magic.
a cactus is like kind of like stands alone. It's a beautiful resource. People don't know. It has water inside of it that you can get. And yeah, I could see something like I like the way you think. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Yeah.
Cactus also has yucca fries in there.
Okay.
So you can the root vegetable. You can put it with like risotto sauce. It's so good. Put some salt on the fries. So
And then
good.
also some cactuses produce like a syrup, like a sugary sweet syrup. That's like almost like aloe. You know what I mean?
And I think I may be wrong. Maybe I'm thinking about pistachio milk, but I think there's cactus milk.
Sure.
Maybe.
Oh,
I don't know.
I will take that from you. You can have that.
You speak of this magical photo shoot, and all of your photo shoots are big and bold.
Thank you.
What is the inspiration behind those?
Being big and bold. I want to create a legacy of images that show people that you can just virtually do whatever you want. You know what I mean? Like I'm a person again who works with extremely limited resources. A lot of times building something from nothing, which is honestly the grounds of how I came to build this clothing company, because I was like, I'm a person who I don't really love wearing a lot of things a lot of times. I have my pieces that I just love, but then there's some things like, especially working in events and stuff, you're showing up on stage, you want to show up on something that's as big as the stage. You know what I mean? And I like dedicated my energy to always being like, when I show up, I want to show up. And however I can make that happen, I'm going to make that happen. So a lot of times with these photo shoots, I want to have that energy in the photo as well. And as a person who spends time like in front of the camera and behind the camera, I'm always trying to tell a story. I want people to look at this photo. If they don't see themselves, I want them to see whatever story we're trying to tell.
Right.
And even though it's one image, I want them to be able to, I want the mind to just run when they see that. I want it to be able to really like encapsulate you and take you to a place almost. You know what I mean?
So
I love that.
it's just in the way you speak about things. I kind of want to know, where did your love of fashion or imagery really kind of come from? Can you think back in like a time where you just was like, I don't know.
Honestly, it comes from, and this is gonna sound, because as I'm thinking of saying, I'm like, this sounds so corny, but it comes from the journey of like learning to love myself.
Mm,
Like because for a long story short, when I graduated from high school, I was like over 400 pounds.
mm,
And as I started to, go to college, and that time is a very self-expressive time. You're trying to find yourself, you're making friends, you're learning things about yourself. The one thing that I learned about myself was like, even though I was a heavier person, I hated getting dressed.
mm,
And it wasn't because of like my body or my weight. It's because I wasn't finding clothes that I felt expressed myself.
mm-hmm.
And the person that I was like getting to know during that time, which was myself, couldn't be expressed in the way I was like buying clothes that just cover my body. And I hated
I
that.
know
You know what I mean?
what that. Yeah.
So yeah. And so as I like invested more into like finding different stores and finding different ways to find clothes that made me feel good about myself, when I would find those things, I would like do things to them to kind of keep them going. So if I found a sweater that I love, but here it is, summertime is coming, I can't wear this sweater all summer, so I'm cutting the sleeves off the sweater. Now it's a vest. You know what I mean? But I'm keeping it going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so as I like continued that journey, I was like, and I learned to care more about myself and the way I wanted to present. I was like, I want other people to feel this. So that's when I started to get in front of the camera. And also I was working in events, doing hosting gigs and stuff. So I always needed photos and needed pictures for flyers and stuff like that. And so I would get in front of the camera and be like, okay, someone took this picture of me, but this is not how I feel like I felt when I was in front of that
Right.
camera. You know what I mean? So then I got behind the camera and was like, all right, how does this work? Because I need to figure out how to make these two things connect. You know what I mean? I need to be able to express how I felt when I was being taken, when the photo was being taken, and make that connect to the camera so that when I am in front of the camera again, it's going to be what it's supposed to get. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um.
And that's how I kind of, learned to just really like, continue to tell the story,
Yeah, I like what you said there, because I was a size like 52 in pants,
Mm-hmm.
and I like a lot of clothes that come out for us or that we can also buy doesn't really give us life,
No.
and they make clothes that can fit us, but it don't really do nothing for us.
And
And
it's even worse for plus women. Like plus women's clothing, it's a mystery.
mm,
Like they'll literally make them a shirt, and it'll be like this nice shirt, and then they'll be like, oh no, let's put a frilly thing on the sleeve. For what? You know what I mean? Like
why is that
every large woman does not want to hide her arm.
right?
We don't. Everybody doesn't need that, or it'll be like a beautiful dress, and they'll be like, all right, but it needs a peplum, and not just a peplum that starts right under her breast and goes past her waist. For what?
Right.
Everybody doesn't want to hide their body behind frilly articles of clothing. Some people want to show their body,
Mm.
however it looks. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it.
So you spoke of defying the odds and going against what society paints what people should wear and should do and whatnot. How do you continue to inspire people to defy those odds beyond defining them?
I think my only way to directly inspire people is just to continue to show up as myself.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And that means even when I don't necessarily feel like myself, showing up as myself. I didn't realize how impactful that was until I started to because there was a time where I was always showing up, big and big energy and whatever all the time. And then when I would go out sometimes like by myself or whatever, and people would see me, they'd be like, "Oh, he must have had an attitude that day or something." And I'm like, "No, that's part of who I am." You know what I mean? But what it showed me was that bigness, sometimes people need that. You know what I mean? So even though I felt like I just wanted a day off or whatever, you know what I mean? That influenced the way that person felt that day. You know what I mean? So they saw me and, relate the sight of me with a certain emotion, a certain feeling. And because I didn't deliver that, which again, it's not my job, but it's a service that I always want to give to people. Right. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So that's my way to get into heaven, if you will, is always making sure that I'm showing up as myself, the self that, people connect to.
I definitely relate with that. Lord Jaeger was literally on my ass about taking a break from nightlife, and I'm out of it now. And it feels so good because he kept on telling me, you do not have to be on for people all the time. Capital O-N. So I definitely understand that, because when I was in the club 7 days a week, I was feeding that empty soul with weed and alcohol and bad food and every other type of and wicked spirits and whatnot, and I was just like, oh no, I gotta step back.
Right.
And ever since then, it's been a great journey. So I definitely understand bringing that big energy and people expecting it all the time. Sometimes we have to continue to be ourselves, so therefore we can provide those big energy days.
Right. I want to answer my friend Bobby asked a good question. If you guys don't mind,
Of course.
She was saying, how do you balance showing up in the big energy in service of others with your service to yourself? And that is making sure that if I don't feel like I can deliver that I'm staying home. You know what I mean? That's doing things to always take care of myself when I am alone, so that it's preserved for when I want to give it to people. And understanding the difference that it is a service to people and not something that they are obligated to get from me. You know what I mean? Like it's something that I want to give to them, so that I'm always giving it to them when I want to give it to them. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that answered your question, Bobby. Hi, Bobby. Me and Bobby are actually featured in a gallery together. She's an amazing artist and a phenomenal singer. I mean, vocal is out of this world. So I love Bobby.
Okay, gallery. Okay. I was thinking about what y'all were saying, and I'm sorry, my dogs are going. Malloy, go ahead.
Oh, dog. How many dogs do you have?
Babies, and it's Father's Day for me. Someone said Happy Father's Day to me yesterday. I was like, oh, you know what? I am a dad.
You are a father. You take care of those babies.
Okay, we stop. I think they stop. Because when we're doing interviews, I don't like them running around because they are two boys and they go off in here.
Oh yeah.
But I was thinking about how you were saying about showing up big, and how Malloy was talking about, going to the clubs and stuff like that. And that really takes energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially for people like us. I don't know, Malloy, if you consider yourself kind of introverted. I am. You know what I mean? And I know you
small introvert.
Yeah, it's like that takes a lot to actually, and people don't think that because we do show up and we are who we are, but they don't know that it takes a lot to actually do that, and to exert yourself. Even doing these kind of shows for me takes energy. You know what I mean? Like here, Not that I don't like it. I'm just saying, like, it takes, it takes something out of me. Like, I
Yeah,
made
you
a,
gotta you gotta take your beat, take a day, prepare yourself. You know what
and
I mean?
I do want people to know, like, you don't have to always be out on the scene. Like, be out on the scene when you maybe need to prove something.
When you got it for the scene, that's when you go out.
Yeah, when you need to prove something for you. You know what I mean? Like, maybe you feel like you haven't been looking your best and you want to go out and show yourself off. That doesn't mean you gotta hook up with anybody or anything like that. It's just about
Hmm.
times. And I appreciate you for showing you. You know what I mean? Like, every time
Thank you.
I see you, it's always, you know, big and beautiful and bold and black.
Thank you.
And I love it. So I just wanted to say
Thank you
that.
so
Yeah.
much.
And thank you for definitely showing up this evening, because honestly, you have just continued on to this phenomenal legacy. And we
Thank you.
we don't invite just anyone to the Pink Clubhouse. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to interview you, get to know you, and you you're special.
Oh, thank
You
you.
are special, and I always want you to remember that. So
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I thought of something while you were talking, and you asked me if I was an extrovert or an introvert. I'm an extrovert and I hope this isn't misconstrued, but I'm an extrovert in open, bright environments. But once I become enclosed in a dark and disguised environment, I'm introverted, because
Hmm.
I always have to read before I approach. Because one of the things that I have always said that I do not like about the clubs is everyone um, puts on for the club, when in
Oh, yeah.
reality we are all struggling. Like, I don't get it, and I've always spoke about people fighting in the clubs and like treating other people bad. We are here to have a good time. We're here to
And I think
dance.
that's kind of like a really big issue right now. I was literally having a conversation earlier about going to clubs and just, or like how now I'll go to the club, but I'm never like, let's go to the club. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's because like people just aren't having fun anymore. Like I remember vividly going to the club and like leaving there drenched in sweat. You made out with a few people. Just had a good time. You know what I mean? It was like fun. And now it's like you got to have all the elements right, or you know what I mean. It's like you're either one. There's one club particularly here in DC where like the whole time you're in there, you're either moving or being moved, which I hate.
That's
I mean, like,
Bulldogs on a Thursday night.
but Bulldogs was fun, or at least it was when I went. I've been there twice, and both times I mean, I didn't have, the time, but I had the time. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm also like, I like to make the best of things. If I'm in a club and like the music ain't too great, but the drinks are cheap, we can make this work. You know what I mean? Like, there could be something to be done with these
like you
ingredients.
said, it took me back because, like, I remember going to clubs and, like you said, walking out sweaty and like different from what you came in. And
Completely.
and I don't know what changed that. Like, what do y'all think changed that?
Honestly, I think social media
Right, and like
changed it. You know what I mean? I think
Amber,
people go to the club, they want to show people that they're
yeah,
having fun versus actually having fun.
Yes.
So you'll watch people's stories and see everybody, which is I really pray every day that our people will be free from the shackles of hookah. But you see people just smoking their hookah and turning up for 15 seconds exactly, and then like when you see them in real time, they're sitting down.
right. They just like smoked the hookah. So there was this guy, right? When I first came to Atlanta, I'd never been. I went to Mix, and I was working. I was doing a shoot for somebody, and this guy, I had never ever seen this, y'all. I promise you, it was so strange to me. I was like, "What? Where are we?" Like, this guy was in the middle of the dance floor with the flashlight on his phone on him, and he was just looking at the camera. There was no dancing. There was nothing, and I'm like, I took took video of it because I was like, this is National Geographic.
Bewildered. Like, what is happening?
Crazy.
Like,
or when people are at the club and they're like live on Bigo or something. I'm like, be here, be at the club.
Right.
Why are you?
I never got that.
it's so
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Never.